Meditation on embracing changes in our life. It's interesting because today along my road I encountered a couple of dead animals, which is a symbol of dying old forms, dying old life structures, dying, so the new can come in. An interesting coincidence, because my intention was to record a video about embracing changes in life. And these dead animals are a good confirmation that there is nothing permanent in this physical world. And so when something happens that we are not very pleased in our life, some great changes or some challenging situations occur in our life, quite often a lot of us tend to perceive them with resistance. It's hard to let go. Something that we lost. It's hard to let go for the ego, some certain and desired outcome that is no longer relevant in our life. So we are resisting the change, and it's tough. This video, essence of this video is for us to once more realize that life changes are here to help us, to assist us, to guide us back on track, to help us heal, to help us see where and how we went sideways. So changes and challenges are not here to punish us, but rather a great tool that can help us develop and grow. And if we resist changes, then we create more suffering. We are not grounded and we are not able to live a balanced life. There are multiple reasons why people resist changes. And what comes now in my mind is that a lot of times when changes occur, they are perceived as unexpected, as sudden, coming out of nowhere. And that can be scary, frightening, and cause other feelings. But this unexpectedness usually is only because we have been living our daily life from a certain consciousness state. We have been engaged in a certain situations, certain conditions, experiences, with a certain attitude, with a certain perspective, perception. And a lot of times this can blind us, because this certain perspective of ours have put us to sleep, and that leads to lack of awareness. So we are not able to see what's coming, that the Big Bang is coming, because some parts of ours, some conscious parts, are resisting it and are doing everything that we get distracted, that we keep ignoring what the life is showing us, its signals. We keep downplaying it as it's not that important, or it can wait, or I can delay that. And that keeps going on and on, repeating, until life brings us a disruptive event, life event, a change, or a crisis, or a crash. You can name it however you want, but it's a sudden, very strong occurrence, when usually your old life structure is crumbled, or some of its element is suddenly lost, removed, and you physically cannot live in the old way anymore. It's impossible. And then finally it draws your attention. This crash or crisis is here to help us awaken. And when this crisis happens, usually it triggers in us some subconscious blocks or negative beliefs or unhealthy patterns that need to be healed, transformed, transmuted, that we so stubbornly did not want to address before, that we wanted to avoid and not deal with it. And we decided to keep living in illusions and distraction. And so this disruptive life crisis is here to help us. It's here to help us see ourselves in a different, in a more clear light, and start to become aware what was that caused, that brought this crisis in our life, what subconscious unresolved blocks caused this, and what blocks kept us living in this unconscious loop of everyday life that we ignored its signals and then followed the big crises. So it's a good thing, but it can be very hard to accept it at first. Yes. And when this crisis has arrived and it has triggered our subconscious block or multiple blocks, it is chance for us to become aware of them, and then a deep insight can happen, a deep click, and without it it's difficult to become aware on everyday life, especially if you are very overtaken by your everyday life experiences, and it's difficult to perceive yourself from the outside perspective because you are in it deeply. And so this disruptive life crisis brings us a potential of deep insight, and then through this insight we can start to self-reflect even deeper about our life. What happened? Why did it happen? We can start to look beneath this crisis. Were there any signs or red flags before that I refuse to see and acknowledge? Also, you can retrospectively, it's easier to see it than when you were being in the moment and experiencing your everyday life. So now, after this crisis, you have a break from your previous life. You have a disruption, and you can start to retrospectively look back how you lived, how you invested your attention and energy, where did you put it, and what kind of results it got you, what kind of behaviors, what kind of choices you made, and how it led to this moment of crisis. So the cause and effect. And we don't have to always wait for the big crash to happen in order for us to access this feedback that this strong crash brings us, and deep insight. We can access feedback from life every day, every single moment. The question is what we decide to do with it. Are we going to ignore it? Or are we taking a serious attention? And when we decide to ignore it and push it away, it's impossible to completely avoid it. When we suppress these signals, when life tries to tell us, come on, if you're gonna continue like this, there will be more painful consequences. But if we don't really acknowledge what life is trying to show us, then we will only create even bigger inner resistance inside of us. The inner unease will stay in the background, and it will accumulate and grow even stronger until the big bang will happen externally. Maybe first internally as an illness or disease or something else, but it also arrives externally eventually. And so distraction maybe serve you temporary, but not long term. If there are some life situations, some experiences that you keep avoiding and try to avoid them and don't want to be engaged in them, but a part of you knows that it's relevant in your life, then you should ask yourself, why am I avoiding this? Are there particular feelings, thoughts, beliefs that are associated, that can be triggered by this certain situation? If there is, then that's the key. If you don't acknowledge this key answer, then you cannot completely heal yourself, because you don't pay attention to your shadow aspects, your aspects of your inner self that you have kept suppressing, you have kept avoiding, and did not want to see them. And if you don't heal them, then this stuck inner energy field will remain inside you, and it will remain as a form of block that you won't be able, as a form of inner resistance that you won't be able to overcome, and it will keep hindering your life. So it is important not to push it away. And if we do that, we are not grounded. Which is interesting, because we live on this planet called Earth, which in a deep sense is a symbol of grounding. So if you human are not grounded or living a grounded life here, then the question is, why are you here? What do you want to do? What's your purpose? So disruptive life events are here as to assist us, to aid us. It's not a punishment. But when we have gone sideways, it comes to help us to correct our life course, to adjust. So it's an opportunity. Thank you.